Do you think that people who are bullied are at a higher chance of becoming trans?
Yes, definitely. So I talk about this in my book. There's a lot of studies. There was a study in Finland by the top transgender clinic that was basically transitioning a lot of kids, and they said around, I think it's around 45% of the kids had experienced severe bullying. So that led to their gender dysphoria identity. But there's
So
also the other side
your
where
theory is that the bullying leads to the dysphoria, not the dysphoria leading to the bullying, which
no,
would be more
I was
logical.
no, I was just about to say as well, but there is also the flip side of that where the kids are being bullied because of their identity, because maybe a boy is more feminine or a girl is more like a tomboy. So they're also being bullied for that. But in certain studies, the one in Finland at Tampere University, they found that there was a significant correlation between a kid being bullied and then the onset of their gender dysphoria coming afterwards rather than before. But, of course, it works both ways.
I have that theory you're citing in front of me. Let's
Tampere University, Finland, yeah.
Here it is. Let's read the conclusion. Here. There's the abstract and everything. Let's see. The conclusion says gender identity, especially non-binary identity, is associated with both being bullied and perpetrating bullying, even when a range of variables, including internal stress and involvement in bullying and the opposite role, are taken into account. This suggests that bullying during adolescence may serve as a mechanism of maintaining heteronormality, which I think what that means is that the bullying actually results in people rejecting their transness in favor of heteronormality. I think that's so it seems to be saying the opposite actually of what you've claimed it said. Do you see what I'm referring to? Heteronormality?
Yeah, no, I see that. I
Yeah,
see that
okay.
article. That if you actually read the full study, which
That's
I've
the
read the full study,
conclusion.
you can find it on the National Institute of Health.
Oh no, this is the
Basically,
study. Yeah,
let
this
me have
is
a look.
yeah, no, this is this is the study. It's the
Yeah,
.gov.
Finland. Yeah.
Yeah, this is it. And then this is the author's conclusion right there. I mean, that's pretty much that. This is the one you're talking about. Do you disagree?
Yes, but look. The study's also saying it's associated with being bullied and being the perpetrator. So it's basically saying that
Yes,
either
but the message. This is the last sentence. So let's read this together carefully.
Mhm.
It suggests that bullying during adolescence may serve as a mechanism of maintaining heteronormality. So, do we understand what that says?
No, I get what it's saying. It's
Right.
basically saying that some of these kids that are being bullied will maintain their original identity because of the bullying. Correct. But the study also, if you read the full study, the study also speaks, there's a high correlation between, there's two different findings in the study. There's a finding that around 45% of the kids are bullied, and that causes the gender dysphoria. And there's also part of the study which also says, like the conclusion is finding that some of these kids are bullied because of their gender dysphoria, and it makes it worse.
So
So
it
there's two
seems
different
like
findings.
if two outcomes are possible, then it doesn't seem that interesting. I wonder why you bring it up.
Well, no, read the full study. It also talks about
This is
the
it,
correlation
man.
between
I mean,
autism.
this is the author. They wrote the conclusion right here. This is their.
That's a small summary
Okay, yeah,
on
but
Yahoo
that's the
News. If you actually
author.
read,
That's the author. That's their conclusion.
correct.
Right.
But if you read in the
Who
National
better to
Institute of
draw a
Health,
conclusion than the author of the study?
no, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I've read the full study
You
multiple
have
times on the
multiple
National
times.
Institute of Health. Hmm.
Do you think that if bullying prevents people from becoming, according to this, bullying prevents more kids from transitioning? Do you believe that we need more bullying?
No, I'm an advocate against bullying. I think whoever gets bullied, it's so wrong. I've been bullied myself, and I'm an
But
advocate
if
for trying to
bullying
stop that.
results
Nobody
in less
deserves to be bullied.
transitioning, then that, according to what you're saying, is the best outcome for these kids.
No, I don't agree at all. No kid, even if a kid is feminine or a girl is a tomboy, they should not get bullied. No one should get bullied. They should be provided with support. But if somebody wants to transition, I'm not against people transitioning. I just don't think it's right as a kid, because a lot of these kids are going through so many issues during that time. They are not in the right frame of mind to make an informed consent decision.
If a
Look,
child is
Ethan,
suicidal, do you believe that they should transition to save their
so a
life?
lot of So there's a lot of clinics and doctors that use this argument. There's a clinic called Permanate in California.
Kaiser Permanente.
Yes, that's it. Thank you. Yeah, so basically, they have used with multiple people that have since detransitioned, Chloe Cole and Layla, another detransitioner. They basically told them your kids are going to commit suicide if you don't transition them. But what they said afterwards is they actually felt worse 6 months down the line after their transition because they've got hormones in their body, they've got puberty blockers,
Surely
and
you
they even had double
understand
mastectomies.
that the vast majority of people that transition don't regret it. I think it's like 95%, 99%. Are you aware of that stat?
You you don't hear the cases of the detransitions
Are
because
you
the gender
aware,
clinic.
Ollie, that 99% of kids that transition do not regret it?
No, I don't support that statistic. I think it's wrong
Okay.
because these
From
clinics.
from what from what authority do you disprove that statistic?
Well, look, these clinics make these studies. They don't even do follow-up studies. There's an example of a
Do you not
clinic
trust
called the
studies?
Tabitha.
Because you just told me to read one.
Look, what I'm saying is the gender clinics make billions of dollars every year. Their studies are skewed and
In
biased.
a
They
review
don't
of
do follow-up.
27 studies involving almost 8,000 teens and adults who had transgender surgeries, mostly in Europe, US, and Canada, 1% on average expressed regret. For some, regret was temporary, but a small number went on to detransition. But that's 1%. That seems like a very small amount to be singularly focused on. And this is 27
No.
studies, so this is a massive kind of conclusion, right? A scientific conclusion, a consensus, if you would.
Yes, but what I'm saying is there's a clinic, for instance, Tavistock Clinic, which was the main clinic in the UK. They were actually exposed. They were doing studies as well. They
Is
weren't
that what we were
bothering
talking
to
about in the
check with the
beginning?
detransitioners. They didn't bother to check with the detransition. They didn't check how the hormones
Oh,
were
I know
affecting
what
them
you're
over a year.
talking about. That English one for
Yeah.
yeah. So that one, if I recall, I looked into that. Um, I believe it was they. People say it was shut down. It was actually wasn't it?
It's being
They
shut down.
right,
It's
but
still open. Mhm.
they're actually making a bigger one so they can serve more needs. I actually so it's not really being shut down actually.
That
Say
one
the name
is
again.
it's still
What is it?
it's called Tavistock.
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 Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that one's actually being shut down this year because basically the National Health Service, which is basically looks after all the hospitals in the UK for the government, they actually said that there were a lot of ethical violations and stuff, and they also changed their policy based on what happened at that clinic via internal investigations. They found that many of these kids were being pushed to transition without having checks on their mental health, and they're basically being pushed into it and fast tracked
Do
very
you think it's
quickly.
significant though that of the patients, of the actual people who that transition, only 1% regret it? Do you you're not acknowledging that?
I don't trust studies, even
Why?
if you're saying it's 27 studies.
27 studies. Then why did you tell me to read this one, Ollie? You use studies when it's convenient for you, but you don't when it goes against your thesis. I don't understand your consistency with studies. Do we like them or no?
What I'm trying to say, Ethan, is the gender clinics are very, very powerful.
Do we no
They
no no.
control
Ollie,
a
do
lot of the
we
studies.
like studies or not? All studies or no
I like
studies?
studies.
Oh, we do.
I like studies,
You do
but
like
you have to.
studies.
But you have to always look at bias. The clinic in Finland was a transgender clinic that made the study, so they had different findings to the many of the clinics in America that are saying there's a low detransition rate. But there are thousands of detransitioners out there. They're just not sharing their stories because of fear of being attacked, and they get abuse every single day from trans activists. So there's thousands of kids out there that are. There's 50,000 detransitioners on a Reddit subreddit forum speaking about detransitioning, but they're scared to come out and talk about it because they're going to get attacked. So there's a lot of people hiding.
You seem to be in denial, Ollie, that the vast, vast majority of these people, let's say there's a bias. Let's say instead of 1%, it's 10% regret it. And that's a huge deviation. So I'm giving you a lot of doubt here. If 10% only regret it, do you think that on whole, of the 90% who don't regret it and who had what they consider life-changing health care, why would you seek to deny them life-changing health care? When
Well, Ethan,
they say this saved my life.
Well, Ethan, children can't get tattoos. Children can't buy cigarettes or buy alcohol. So how on earth can they consent to doing something they don't even understand about? We have to look at many of these kids. They don't understand. They don't think about the future. Like if a kid changes their body, they have gender reassignment surgery or take hormones. They might not be able to have a baby when they're older. They don't think about those things because they're kids. So the issue is just we shouldn't be doing this to kids. It should happen, as an adult, they can make informed consent. But even with some of the parents
Hey
agreeing to
Ollie,
it,
do you know how many kids between the age of 6 and 17 went through irreversible surgery in the United States?
I know the number rises every year. Now it will be
Okay.
several thousand.
So the number of patients, of children between 6 and 17 who went through irreversible surgery in the United States, what was the years on that one?
It's 3 years, 2019 through 2021.
So this is the most comprehensive data we have, and this comes straight from the government stats. It was 250 per year. Does that seem significant to you?
That's completely incorrect because
Based on
there's a
what?
clinic in Oregon. It's in the thousands now. There's a clinic in Oregon that's done at least,
The
I believe,
thousands?
300
Is that
per year.
significant? 1,000? I mean, we have
No,
50
more
million
than
children
1,000.
in the United States. Do you think a
Well,
thousand is statistically significant?
there's thousands, and this study probably only takes into account people on Medicaid or Medicare. There are also the parents of patients that pay out of pocket. So
Even if
I
it's
think the study
thousands, Ollie, let's say it's
was
thousands. Is this significantly significant when we have 51 million children in the United States between ages 6 and 17?
it's significant even because it's growing every day. If you look at any chart or graph of kids being medically transitioned, it's now in the tens of thousands across the US. California has thousands alone. Florida, before Governor DeSantis banned, there's a clinic, Dr. Gallagher, who performs at least five surgeries on minors every month. So that's just one
Can you
clinic. So
cite
it's in
those
the thousands.
numbers? Is it possible to get a reference?
Dr. Gallagher is a clinic in Florida, and she operates on minors.
Okay. And so, what is wrong with the number going up? I mean, let's say it goes up from 1,000 to 2,000 in the whole United States. I mean, so obviously,
So,
one would
mm,
assume, right, Ollie, as people become more educated and aware of transgenderism, and we've seen the same thing with homosexuality, which, of course, you are a member of the LGBT community. In the 50s, as being gay became more acceptable, you saw the numbers significantly rising during that time. I'm sure you know that, right?
yeah, of course,
So
because
what's
it
the
became more
difference? What
acceptable.
is the difference between the hysteria that took place then about there was, on the right that they're turning our kids gay? That turned out not to be true. You agree?
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely,
good, good,
absolutely
good. So hold
correct.
on to that. So now today we see the same graph going up of trans kids getting surgery or gender affirming care or whatever. So why is it that you today can draw a conclusion that was the same conclusion in the 50s that you disagree with, that trans kids are being influenced societal to become trans? It seems to be a glaring contradiction in logic.
It's not just random based on the fact that it's easier for people to come out these days or identify in different ways. It is a concerted push, Ethan. So there's now
That's what they
over
said about gay
60
people.
Ethan, there's now over 60 pediatric gender clinics that have opened within the last 15 years across the US. They weren't there before, so they are profiting from this. They're opening clinics because they know they can profit. So when they push, through popular culture or push transitioning via TikTok trends, they are profiting from that. So it benefits them if society and children are being confused and indoctrinated in schools or via social media because they
They
can get more
thought
patients through
so,
their door.
so that's good, but let's focus on this issue that I want to nail down. They said that gay kids were being influenced to be gay. You disagree with that now, and you're one of the people that says kids are being influenced to become trans, and it's the same curve. How do you not? Why is that curve not just the result of it becoming more acceptable in society? 'Cause it's the same curve,
Because
right? Same curve.
It's a huge curve, and it's really in the last 5 years since TikTok came about. We're seeing so many. There's about
Well,
2.2 billion views on
what
that.
does it matter how they become aware of it? I'm telling you, it's the same curve.
What I'm trying to tell you is that there are influences now that didn't exist 10 years
Like
ago
what?
that are pushing kids. So, for instance, TikTok, there's about 2.2.
So TikTok is turning people trans, where back in the 50s, people said it was like rock and roll music, it was movies, it was hippie movements. That wasn't accessible to the generation before them. I don't see the difference.
What I'm saying is that kids are being exposed to influences that they didn't have before.
Same in the
if kids are
50s.
being on. Sorry?
The same in the 50s. The kids who were coming out as gay were also exposed to things that weren't accessible to generations before them.
Well, I don't agree with that. They didn't have phones
No?
back then. Kids are now being pushed trends, and the AI algorithm recognizes a kid's vulnerabilities,
Well,
and they push videos.
popular music,
Yeah, music
pop
has
music
always.
pop music was something that was rock and roll was something that was new back then. So
No, correct. And you could also argue that in the 80s, more people came out because, music like George Michael was, and songs about freedom and
then
stuff and
why are
coming
you
out was.
concluding that TikTok is making people trans? I don't understand the logic. You just contradicted yourself.
No. What I'm saying is, in the last 5 years, there is an increase in gender clinics opening because they are exploiting these children that are being pushed trends. There's a lot of lobby groups. Ethan, the Human Rights Campaign is a massive lobby group. They're going around.
Ollie, you were trans before TikTok.
I've struggled with gender dysphoria for all of my life.
Before TikTok.
Correct, but yes, but my identity struggles came about because I was using social media too much, and
But
I
Ollie,
started
you
to
were
see.
born in 1990. You're not that much younger than me. When I grew up, there was no social media. I don't believe you probably had social media until you were in your 20s, well into your 20s.
Yeah, correct. And the reason I struggled with my identity was because of bullying in childhood. But then I only transitioned as an
But
adult.
bullying in childhood, we established from the report that you told me to read that bullying in childhood results in less people transitioning.
Sorry, say it again.
The study you sent me about
the
bullying, the conclusion was that bullying results in less people transitioning. So you says it's a result of social media. Well, you didn't have social media. Then you says it was a result of bullying. But this study you told me to read says bullying reduces the amount of people who transition. So how is it that you were trans before, outside of all of these influences that are turning people trans?
Well, firstly, I'm an individual, so I'm one person. So my experience is not reflective of every single person that becomes trans out there. But the thing is, I became trans as an adult because I really struggled with my identity throughout my whole life. And yes, I did get bullying. Every case is different as well. Some people are bullied because of their gender identity. Some people are not. So every single case is different. But the reason I became trans was, you follow my journey, the Korean stuff. That was me trying to find myself and trying to, fit in because I hated the way I looked.
If your journey is a personal one, which I totally understand, then what gives you the right to project your personal experience onto others?
Well, I speak to detransitioners every day. I speak to parents. I speak to women.
So that assumes a bias, Ollie. You're talking all day to detransitioners. We've also established, because I think, like studies, or I don't know if we decided, I think you said you like studies, because 27 of them made a consensus that 99% of people that transition don't regret it. So if you spend all day talking to the 1% that do regret it, don't you believe that underlies a bias?
Well, no, I don't believe it because I talk to all sorts of people. I talk to parents that have trans kids, and they're trying to navigate through that. And the general consensus with everyone I speak to, because I'm not right wing or left wing. I'm just very much in the center. I'm just trying to help people using my platform to try and help people. The general consensus is we shouldn't be doing this to kids, and there generally is a concerted push over the last 5 years to medically transition children. If kids want to experiment, if a girl wants to be a tomboy, nobody has a problem with that. If they want to become trans as an adult, that's on them. But the issue that I talk about every day, I talk with parents, I talk with all these detransition, is when this happens to kids. That's the issue I'm speaking about.
Right,
It's
but that's so
not about
rare.
people.
Shout out to
ISIS.
Dan. To Dan
Is another kind
prolapse.
of milk.